Hello and welcome into another video game story time with Sky Fellowship. Today's episode is going to be called A Game of Two Halves. So, like with a lot of things, I'm going to start with the beginning, but the beginning is one of those terms that's relative. So, the beginning for Mario Kart World was the first time I guess we seen it. So the Nintendo Direct where they shown it off and people were immediately saying this looks just like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, personally, I never thought so. I thought graphically it was always way better. Apologies as well. I should probably address what I've just done. Ever since Mario Kart 8, I can't use any other button to accelerate than Y without my hands severely cramping. I'm so glad that they allowed that for Mario Kart 8. And then they took it away for this one, so you have to do that, and now I have to constantly remember that Y is also my menu button. Yeah, Nintendo, gonna Nintendo. So anyway, they're showing it off, and I was incredibly underwhelmed a little bit, because while I didn't think it looked as bad as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did, it was clearly a newer game, I was a little worried when they announced that it was World, because I genuinely don't like open world races. I've mentioned this in the videos before. I find them usually rather soulless, where you're playing on boring tracks that have absolutely nothing fun or exciting about them. So, you may be jumping the gun a little bit here, but I'm probably going to shock you in some ways. So, anyway, cut to the game finally coming out and the Switch 2 launching, and things are completely fucked in the world with a lot of things. I really needed some Nintendo magic. So I put this game on, and I played through the Grand Prix like 3 times because I loved seeing all of the different weather effects, all of the different music, like hearing all the music, obviously not seeing in that case, from going from daytime to nighttime. The game is an absolute masterpiece in my eyes. I cried my eyes out at the end. I never thought I'd cry at the video game story that is Mario Kart, and if none of what I've just said there is making sense to you, I know a lot of people don't get things like interpretive dance and story without story. Mario Kart is one of those. It's telling a story from start to finish. This game is telling a story. I'm gonna say that I understand there are a lot of people who hate the intermediate and intermissionary tracks and that, and I am going to get to that, but I truly do believe these are the best Grand Prix that Mario Kart have ever made, and probably ever will make, for your first playthrough, and maybe your second, third, maybe even your fourth or fifth if you get really lucky. But I'll get to the negative part of the intermediate tracks or intermission tracks or whatever they're actually called, basically the long boring stretches. I'll get to those in a minute. I'm going to continue focusing on why I actually cried my eyes out playing this game. So I'm playing through the Grand Prix and everything's new, so at the time I didn't even mind the intermission tracks. I was just loving it, and I'm like, the pacing's great. I love the story that they're telling here, because this entire game is, hey, remember this? I've played the hell out of all of the Mario Karts, so all the time I was constantly driving, and suddenly muscle memory would kick in, and it's like, I've never played this track. I know I've never played this track because I've never played this game. Now, again, I knew there were classic tracks in it, but things look so different. It took me that long to realise sometimes. So I'm like, I haven't played this track, this is one of the new ones, clearly, so maybe they just took inspiration from that other track, and that's why it feels similar, because I mean, there's only so many ways you can make twists and turns, really. And then the first time it really hit me, I was driving and the muscle memory had severely kicked in. It's like, okay, no, I have played this track. And I turned a corner, and hello Airship Fortress, one of my all-time favourite tracks on Mario Kart DS. I freaked the fuck out when I realised, and I immediately started to cast my mind back, because that's only in Cup 2, the Flower Cup. I was like, oh my god, what's the old track in the first one then? Because I can't believe I've missed it. And it's just, almost every single cup gave me a wow nostalgia moment, and because I've played all of these games, every single one was just so meaningful and give me a kick in the feels of, oh my god, remember when the world wasn't fucked? So I was playing through this and I was truly getting the Nintendo magic, and it obviously culminates with the greatest Rainbow Road I think they'll ever make. Everything about that track was just pure magic, and then the credits roll, and it shows you everything that you've actually just played, but it also shows you all of the like little tie-ins to all of the other games, and it's just the whole thing is just a complete nostalgia bomb. And it really was like that scene with Ego, I want to say his name is. It's been a while since I've watched Ratatouille, so I apologise, there's probably people out there screaming it, but the food critic from Ratatouille, whose name I think is Ego, I could be wrong, it's that whole scene of, wow, this is just my childhood, this is my nostalgia. I didn't have a great childhood. I grew up in a very abusive home with very problematic neighbours and near death under my belt, which all of those will be talked in other videos. I don't want to get into the dark and depressive here. So video games were always my escape. So the fact that I just had this nostalgia bomb, I wept. I could not stop crying. It was absolutely magical. And then I get the knockout tours, and I'm loving the knockout tours, and they're really, really good, but I'm starting to find issues, and it's like, why can't I make my own knockout tour, and why are all of these intermission tracks everywhere? And I knew playing the Grand Prix that I knew it was going to be a double-edged sword, that it's both the best Grand Prix, and give it a year and I'll probably say it's the worst Grand Prix, because to replay all of these long, boring stretches like this one right here, it starts to grate on you really quickly. But at the same time, you need these the first time you play it so that you can get the story. I would love nothing more, because I'm in the middle of updating and they are listening to fan feedback, I would love nothing more than if they actually did a redo of the Grand Prix where you do just play the 4 basic tracks that you're playing in a row. Like, if they would give you that option, I think it would really help. And again, I'm going to start going more to the negative, but I'm going to end with some hopeful. So I'm noticing the problems with the knockout tours and the intermission things, and then there's the fact that I am genuinely good at these games. I have usually managed to 3-star every single game. Granted, the Game Boy Advance one I had to use an action replay, because that is the most cruel and brutal 3-star. Like, I maybe got misinformation from Game FAQs when I was a child, but apparently the actual 3-star mechanics on that include how many times you get hit by the CPU. That is total RNG. You cannot stop yourself from being hit by 3 red shells if the game gives you a single banana. There was just no way to avoid against it, so getting 3-star on that was brutal. But 3-star 200cc on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I was really good at it. I built my own card combination, and it appears I managed to build some kind of meta, because I even told other people about my card combination because of how easy I found it, and they were like, you know what, this is really good. I've never been able to do 3 stars, and now I'm doing it all the time, thank you. So I got 3-star on all of that. 150cc on this game was brutal. The knockout tours especially, it was so difficult. I knew so many normies and people who just weren't that good at Mario Kart who were saying to me, hey, this is harder, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm struggling. And they were like, holy shit, yeah, you're struggling? I'm just not going to do this until an update. Which they did eventually do an update, and I think the course corrected the other way. I'd say, not that 250cc exists. I genuinely feel that the computers were the equivalent of 250cc difficulty on 150cc, because they were harder than the 200cc ones on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, I'd say they're maybe 100cc at best. They've course corrected the other way. It's too easy, and I know I'm only playing on 100cc, but it's because I need to talk and do a bunch of other things, and if anything, the gameplay here is just basic to be filler. But once you start noticing little problems like that, the difficulty was an issue, the intermission thing was an issue, the rubber banding especially was an issue. I had so many clips, by the way, of CPU with a blue shell behind it. I'm in 3rd, and it would intentionally hold the blue shell until I was in 1st, or it just wouldn't fire it at all because there wasn't enough time left in the track. Like, I had so many clips of the computer intentionally screwing me over, I started to notice really bad issues. And then there's the actual open world. It's terrible, and it was even worse at launch because they didn't have any map systems, pretty much. Like, nothing's shown up on a map. You can't restart the blue switches. I think even now you can't restart them instantly. Everything takes so much time. It's just so boring and monotonous, and the blue switches are all over the place, so you'd go from one to another, and like, it's all just filler content and none of it's fun. And it's a shame. Like, maybe some of it is fun and I just got very unlucky and didn't find any of the fun ones, but I even had to use the auto driving to be able to do some of the wall challenges, because the wall riding for me just doesn't work. And this is something else. I am exceptionally good at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I used to be like top 10 ranked in some of the games. I'm really good at games again. I don't say this to brag, it's something that I do all the time. I play it all the time, so I naturally get good at things. I really thought they were catering to me with this trick system. I'm like, oh my god, this looks manic and looks like it's going to have a high skill ceiling gap, but because of my Tony Hawk's knowledge, like, this is going to be me. It's just not fun. All I keep thinking is, if I wanted to do this, I'd actually play a Tony Hawk's game. I wouldn't be playing Mario Kart. I'm playing Mario Kart, so I want it to feel like Mario Kart. So I am the most boring person to ever play and watch this game, I think, because all of the little stuff I've been doing here to try and show off tricks, that's the extent of the tricks that I even do. I really don't do the wall riding at all. I don't do the little mini hop thing to try to start it like that there. I just don't like it. I can't stand it. It makes the game feel less fun because it doesn't feel like Mario Kart. So I do think there's a lot of problems, and this really is a game of two halves. Half of it is an absolute masterpiece. Half of it is a fucking train wreck. But things could be fixed, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't built in a day. When it first launched, it was missing major modes. It was really not that great. It was relatively fine Mario Kart. Now, it's probably the best one ever made, because with the exception of the Bowser's Castle GameCube and Bowser's Castle DS, that's kind of got every track I'd ever want in a Mario Kart game. Those are my absolute two favourite tracks. I have been desperate for them to fucking come back. I do not know what Nintendo has against them. Nintendo, all will be forgiven if you just give both of them in this game somehow. Like, at the same time, as I'm joking on saying that, if that is all they do, they just add single tracks, it's going to be such a letdown, because this is a game of so much potential. And I know I'm not the first person to say this, but I can't just keep harping on about how long I've been trying to record these videos. I've genuinely had videos like this since June, waiting to try to go up, but tech issues have happened, and now I'm having to re-record yet again, and I really didn't expect to even be doing this yet again, but here we are. If they do a Nintendo Direct, and you see Zelda walking, and there's some tracks that she's observing, and she's like, what are these tracks? And she starts to bend over because of the whole meme. You don't see anything, because it then cuts around and pans to Link. And as it's panning, you see very clearly its tyre tracks. And then Mario leaps over Link's head, being chased by a blue shell. And as it cuts back, zooming across, so you see Zelda standing up in shock and surprise, it then cuts to Mario being blew up by the blue shell. Zelda, in a total state of confusion, is asking Link, what the hell was that? And as she turns around, she notices Link is kitting up, and he's already equipped his motorcycle from his inventory. And he speeds off. Give me Breath of the Wild's Hyrule. Specifically Breath of the Wild. You could add some Tears of the Kingdom stuff in, but give me a Grand Prix that takes me from the top left of the map, Hebra, through to the Lost Woods, through to Death Mountain, ending in Hyrule. Give me a Knockout Tour that starts in Lurelin Village and drives all the way through the Zora Domain. Like, give me Smash Kart. You could make so many DLCs for this game. You could give me Hyrule, you could give me Planet from Metroid. I'm struggling with my Metroid lore at the moment. I've literally just beat Prime 4 as well, so get to see that one, even though that one will probably really piss people off. Give me Phobos or Phoebes. Maybe Phobos is a Star Fox thing, but give me a Star Fox area, give me a space area, because like there's low gravity and space things like that you can do with Mario Kart. Give me an F-Zero world, give me an Animal Crossing world. There are so many things. You could add characters every time, you could even add items in, because I don't think it would break the game to get more items. Which, by the way, as well, speaking of items, those fucking Kamikorbs, I had to suffer unlocking all of the skins the old-fashioned way before they finally then added in the custom items, which, why they even removed custom items after adding it to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is beyond me. But that was just misery, pure misery, unlocking all of the skins, trying to get the last one that I needed and never getting it. only to then finally get it and have the feeling of, well, at least it's done, but I hope I never have to do that again. So yeah, give us costumes, give us items. There's so many things you could do to essentially build Smash Kart. If not, and you just want to rebuild Mario World, then give us a Mario World, give us a Mario Galaxy, give us a Mario Sunshine, you know, that would be fine. Because you've made open worlds, I don't want to say you're kind of locked into it, but you are kind of locked into it. The DLC needs to be this. You can't just give us single tracks. As much as people want the single tracks, and as much as, again, there should maybe be a Grand Prix option where you play all of the actual tracks as tracks. So you can then have the story mode, then literally call it story mode, and then Grand Prix mode. You can't just give us tracks. It's too basic, it's too simple. Nintendo are already being accused by so many people of being boring and basic now, of not being weird anymore. Giving us DLC islands is the closest thing I can think of to being weird. That, going back to just Hyrule, and I'm annoyed with how many hundreds upon hundreds of hours I've spent in those games, and I can't remember the life of me all of the actual areas. I know the top left Hebra, then it goes through the Lost Woods, then it goes to Death Mountain. Then I believe underneath Elden is the Zora Domain, then there's the Lurelin area, then to the left of that is the area I can't remember the name of, but it's a rainforest. Then at the bottom left of that is the Gerudo area. You go up one, it's the area that I can't remember, but it's a mountain range essentially, and then you go right one and you've got Hyrule. There's like 9 main areas. You could make 2 GPs and 2 knockout tours and not really cover the same ground, because even if you had them both, like multiple of them going through Hyrule, Hyrule's fucking massive. Even if you have multiple going through the Zora Domain, you could have one going through the actual Zora Domain and one going through the cliffside that's full of rain. There's so many different things you could do with the DLC. Just so many things. So many possibilities. Nintendo, you have given yourself an amazing blank slate, but you've fucked up so much that it worries me. At this moment in time, I'm calling this a game of two halves because, again, 50% of it's a masterpiece, 50% of it is shockingly bad and underbaked and undercooked, and even with the updates, it's only just clawing to maybe 55-45. If eventually we can get to the point in 5 years' time where this game's like 80% masterpiece, 20% mild annoyances that could have been better, but there's not really much that can do with them now because you can't fix them in the DLC, that's a win for me. So, I really hope this has worked, because this might actually genuinely be the best I've managed to convey this. So I hope you see this. Until next time, this has been Sky Fellowship, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya, bye.